Hey YouTube, it's been exactly 3 months since I serviced my 704B, SunSun's 704B, and let's take a look inside of that filter, see how it's holding up. I know it's doing a good job. The tank looks great. Of course, it doesn't hurt that I have a Fluval FX6 also running on the tank, but that 704B is always running strong. When I do water changes, the water pressure is extremely strong. But it's been 3 months, and I'm interested in seeing, especially after cleaning and servicing the FX6, and seeing how much waste and detritus was hung up in that filter. I want to see what kind of a job the 704B is doing. So let's crack that filter open. Let's take a look, and let me show you how I set up my canister filters based on water flow and water flow direction. And hopefully you'll get something out of this video. All right, so let's get going. Here's the FX6. This is just a beast of a filter. It's so large that I actually have to knock out this center rail right here. That center rail I tap out with a rubber mallet, and when I have to service the FX6, I can't get the FX6 out of there because the space that's available between the between the doors here, the actual gaps, are too small for the filter to fit through. So I have to actually knock this piece out to take the filter out. Then I just simply put it back in, and it's in place with Velcro. Fortunately, the tank doesn't collapse when I do that. It's being supported more from the bigger pieces that are to the left and right of that. As you can see, I have the SunSun just off to the right. It's right here on the right side. And I might do a little maintenance maybe on the tubes. We'll see. If they don't look too bad, I let them go. But it runs into the tank, and I have the output and the input on the right side here for the SunSun. You can see the Fluval output right there, and then just to the left of it, you can see the 704B output right there, that little elbow shape. And it is putting out a tremendous amount of water, and when the water level is low, you can really see it blasting a lot of water out. And the input for it, the intake, is right here. As you can see, the filters are doing a great job in keeping the tank looking pristine. And they're also creating a lot of good water movement with those outputs. I use them to help break up some of the surface agitation, or some of the surface tension rather, helping to oxygenate the water along with the SunSun power heads. Those are moving about 1,800 gallons per hour, and that's 900 per head, adjustable head. All right, let's take a look inside that filter. Those of you who watch my videos and have seen some of my canister maintenance videos in the past know that the first thing I do is I fill up some buckets with some clean tank water, and you'll see what I'll be using this for in a second. Before unplugging your SunSun, unless you're going to service the plastic tubing, which I do every other servicing, but before unplugging the SunSun, lift up this lever here between the tubing and ensure that it has shut everything off, and then go ahead and unplug the unit, and that more or less allows a little water to remain in the tubes and helps to start water motion going when you attach it back. When you attach it back to the canister. So I will shut that valve, lift that valve up, which shuts off the water flow, then unplug the unit, and then just do that in reverse when you're going to set things back up again. Fill the unit up with tank water after you've reset it up. Put the tubing back on, put the little head unit back on. Flip that switch over, flip that lever back, and then plug the unit back in, and you should be good to go. You shouldn't even have to use this blue button here, which is a bit of a pain to have to push down. So I'll show you how I get it going again at the end of the video. Because of the size of the unit, I have to take the motor off of it first before I can actually take it out from under the tank because of the width. The 704B is a very large unit, as you can see here, and when you take this motor unit off, you have to be very, very careful because you have this light bulb in there. This is a UV light, so you have to lift the unit up very carefully and then tilt it so that you don't damage, crack, or perhaps jar the bulb loose at the base. If you do that, your bulb will not work. It'll malfunction or even crack and create other problems for you. So lift that out very, very carefully. If you were recently running the bulb, I suggest you don't touch it because it can get pretty hot. And even though with the water circulating around it, it should stay relatively cool. But don't take any chances if you're just using the unit. I usually will turn it off, let things cool down a little bit, and then go ahead and disassemble the unit. So let's go ahead and take this out from under the tank and let's see what's going on inside. As you can see, there's some waste at the very top here. This is just a cover tray, a little shield here. At the very top, you can see it's pretty dirty. Now you're going to see why I have these 3 buckets of aquarium water right next to me here. Here's the Purigen. Not sure if I'll be able to get that clean. I do have a couple that I've recharged that I'll probably drop in there. I recharged some and have them in the wings, so I'll probably put another one in there and recharge this one using the bleach method as written up and recommended at the Purigen website, as the CChem website. Here's the first tray, and what I have on this first tray is some pinky floss that I cut and put in there, just sort of as a last shield between the filter, the water, and in the filter and the tank. I'll probably just cut another piece and toss this one out. We got some blue balls that someone gave me as a gift one time. I tossed them in here just for the heck of it. Don't really recommend them for a canister. They float, and they're a bit of a pain in the butt to work with. This is why they're on the top shelf, because if you put them below, it's impossible to kind of put anything on top of it and have it fit right. So these blue balls are on top, and they actually look in really good shape, actually. And so what I'll do with these guys is I'll just give them a quick rinse. That's all you need to do with them. If they have some good beneficial bacteria living on there, it'll stay alive because I'm leaving them in tank water. And here's some more of them. As I said, they're a little bit of a pain to work with in a canister. I don't really recommend them for a canister. It's what I had at hand when I first set this guy up. So I threw them in there, and yeah, they're probably doing their job. They probably have some beneficial bacteria working. So I just give them a light rinse. That's all they need. And then I put them in some cleaner water. In pretty good shape. All right. Here's some more balls. Give these a rinse. All these things are doing is providing a surface for bacteria to grow on. There are probably better things out there for sure, such as pumice. Pumice is good. Some people use lava rock. Some people like to use, marine pure, things of this nature. And I'll probably upgrade both the blue balls and the black balls. I'll probably get those replaced. And so stay tuned for that. Now here I have what's doing most of the work, a combination of cut filters. Just a variety of filters that I cut and threw in here. And these filters, these chunks of filters are odds and ends, egg crated to give me more surface area to capture more detritus. I'll just rinse those out. Rinse those out and store them in some clean aquarium water to keep whatever bacteria is alive on them living. And you can see I've got a lot of junk coming out of them. They're not in bad shape, really. I mean, you can see a lot of stuff coming out in the water, but the sponges themselves don't look really that. They look pretty good, actually. Those are definitely reusable sponges. No need to throw them out all the time. Different levels of porousness. I try and go with the most coarse, and then medium, and then the finest, least coarse filter at the top. Why is that? Because the filters, the water in the SunSun comes into the bottom of the canister. Some more pinky floss. There. I'll just replace that. Bunch of odds and ends and pieces of filter. So the water comes into the bottom of the SunSun and then is pulled upward by the motor unit. Is pulled up and out this way back to the tank. So the water comes in, goes to the bottom, right straight to the bottom, through these tubes, through this tube here, right? Also, that's where your UV light is. Travels right through there, goes to the bottom, and then is pulled up through whatever media, whatever filtration media you have in there, up and back to the tank. So at the very bottom, put your mechanical, put your sponges, put what's going to trap detritus and keep it from clogging up your beneficial bacteria. So your beneficial bacteria, whatever you're using for that, is pristine, as you can see. And then put your chemical, if you use any kind of a chemical filtration, in my case Purigen, I put that at the very top so that it is hit by the water last on the way back to the tank. So you have your sponges at the very bottom, going from coarse to medium to fine, trapping all the waste that goes into the filter. Then your beneficial bacteria media, and then you have your any kind of chemical filtration you might be using, such as Purigen, things of that nature, okay? So let's clean out this canister. A little disgusting, but not as bad as I anticipated it would be for having been operating for 3 months. I give the trays a real good hand wash, making sure to get the outsides and the inside walls, which can accumulate a lot of waste. And but I want to point something out. Sometimes on SunSun's people talk about degradation or burning of the plastic. Yeah, these trays are pretty thin plastic, pretty flimsy. If you dropped them pretty hard, you'd probably, if you dropped it, you'd probably crack them pretty easily. But I want you to look in here where the UV light goes. This is after 6 months of use. Zero burning, zero cracking, zero degradation. So the UV light itself is not creating any damage whatsoever. And I'm sure some of those reports were probably off of 404Bs or maybe some of the older models, but it certainly looks like they've, whatever that problem might have been, it does not exist. These, the integrity of these trays is like new, even though they've been running 6 months with the UV light. Now full disclosure, I run my UV lights usually 4 days a week, long weekends, Friday to Monday. I'll turn them on Friday. I'll turn them off Monday or Tuesday if I remember. I'll certainly run them after a water change, whatever day of the week that is. Be sure to pull out the magnet, right, that runs your impeller. Be sure to pull that out and give it a good cleaning, because it can get pretty caked up. And be sure to clean up inside there, and maybe even remove the UV light and clean up around the base of it to make sure you get everything, okay? And again, be very careful with it, because you are dealing with some glass that can crack. And when you replace the UV light, be sure it is tightened down correctly, because if it's not, it'll not seat right, and it will make contact with plastic or possibly not work, okay? And that will cause problems, including burning. I use the tray upside down as a template to cut my my new filter, right? So here's one that I'm going to be cutting to shape, some pinky floss. You can get this, by the way, right from Pinky Floss. Or you can get it from, I believe Jay Wilson is selling it over at Northfin USA. And check it out. And so I use this as a template, so I'll just cut around the corners here. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Because you're going to shove it in there and just get it close and put it in, and you'll be good to go. I'll put a couple layers of this pinky in here and help protect the beneficial bacteria from getting clogged up by too much junk. So here's the bottom tray. The bottom tray is going to consist of coarse sponge at the very bottom. You've got the coarse sponge, then you have medium, and then the final layer of defense, the pinky, which has a coarse and then fine at the top. So this is going to make it very difficult for waste and detritus that is being pulled up by the SunSun motor pump. Is going to make it very hard to get through this first level, for fine particles to get through, but of course water will get through fine. And so, by the way, these extra pieces of pinky, keep them. This is going to go into a whisper that I have on my 30-gallon quarantine tank. So these pieces are still can still be used. So this is going to be the bottom in the canister. SunSun was kind enough to put a little sticker at the bottom of the 704Bs, so you know where the hole goes. Anyone who's reassembled a SunSun knows what I'm talking about. That can be a pain in the rear. I have it on my 302Bs, on my 302s that I run on my 60-gallon grow out. I have it marked with a magic marker on the edges to remind me, but
these, they put a sticker at the bottom. Very considerate of them. So let's go ahead and load the other trays up and get this filter back into operation. I was soaking the sponges that I rinsed out and reusing in tank water because they have beneficial bacteria. I'm reusing them. At some point they might get so degraded that I will get rid of them or replace them. I'll just order some more pond filters from the internet and cut my own. Saves me money, and they can be used on and on for quite a while. I added another box of these SunSun's bio balls to the mix. Just help me make a little more beneficial bacteria. Can't hurt. So I have the tray with the filtration, with the mechanical, and I got 2 trays of these bio balls. Some of them are blue balls, some are black balls. So yes, I have blue balls and black balls. Maybe I should see a doctor. All right, so now the last tray, I mean, you get 4 of these ginormous trays with these SunSun's. They're massive. And this last tray, I'll be putting in my chemical filtration, including some ChemiPure Green that was provided to me by IFG, Evan Alexander. Thank you, Evan. And also I'll be putting in a couple pouches of Purigen into this top tray. And that will be the chemical filtration. Last thing the water touches before it goes back to the tank will be chemical filtration. Very simple. Per the instructions, you want to rinse these things and just give them a good rinse. Get any dust out of it, any residue from the factory. ChemiPure gives you a very nice little mesh bag. That top tray is ready to go. I've got 2 Purigens, ChemiPure Green, because I do have some plants in the tank that's supposed to help. We'll see. Be sure when you set these trays back in that they're seated perfectly, that there's no movement, okay, that there's no play, because if there is, that means that you probably have one tray that's loaded up with too much, and so things aren't going to sit right, and you might end up with a little bit of a rattle in your canister that'll drive you crazy, and then you'll start complaining about SunSun. When the problem is not SunSun, it's that it's overloaded. So if you have to, take out some of the bio, take out some of the media, so that the trays sit perfectly and have no movement side to side. Okay, no play. They should be seated perfectly tight all around. I refill the canister to within 1.5 inches to 2 inches from the top rim with tank water. And this will make getting the filter going again much easier, as you'll see. Put your hoses back in place, as you can see here. Put the hoses back in place. Do not flip that valve until after you've plugged the unit in. The unit was just plugged in, and you can see it running along the top edge of the tank. That's the SunSun, blasting out a tremendous amount of bubbles and water. And this unit is serviced and good to go. As I've mentioned in some videos, be sure to burp your SunSun, and by that what I mean is, and I'll do this without the light, just rock the unit a little bit back and forth, get the air bubbles out of it. This will get some of the air out of it. I didn't even have to use this button here, which I really don't like using. It's kind of a pain in the butt. And as you can see, it's blasting out. Very strong flow. So there you have it. That's how I service my SunSun. Nothing fancy. Maybe over time I'll put some different kind of media in there. Maybe I'll put some BioHome Ultimate, maybe some Marine Pure, maybe just some pumice, maybe something cheap.
As you can see, what I have in there right now is very inexpensive, very simple media, and it's doing a great job, as you can see here by looking at the tank. The tank is very pristine, very clean, and it'll continue to be so, I'm sure, with the kind of filtration I have on it. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to leave your comments below. Any advice you might have and how I have the unit set up, I'd be happy to hear. I do respond to your comments, as you know, and any advice, I'm always open for learning. So anything you care to say, I'll take to heart. And thank you so much for tuning in. And be sure to visit the ben.o.cichlid ben.o.cichlid Facebook page, and also you can follow me on Instagram, ben.o.cichlid on Instagram. We have a lot of activity going on there as well as at the Facebook page. Great group of people discussing fish and helping each other out, and I find that to be very enjoyable. It's a real good group, pretty much troll-free. We don't allow any trollotrophuses, trollochromuses. Those are flushed immediately. So, so come on over, and it's a good group. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are greatly appreciated, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Now with the work done, I can just sit back and enjoy. I'm refilling the tank using a Aqueon system, Aqueons and Pythons. Those are good. Also, here's a tip. Save yourself some guesswork. Keep a running log of your maintenance. This is a running log of maintenance that I do on the tank. And you can see today, service 704B, added ChemiPure Green, and extra bio balls. So just keep a record of what you're doing, because if something changes and you don't like what you see, you can go back and see what did I do different in my tank, and maybe reverse that change to get it back to what it was doing before. So I know a lot of us are very anxious to make changes in our tank, and sometimes those changes don't work out. If you keep a log, you can reverse those changes, okay? So you can spot what they were and reverse them. So there's a little extra tip for you. And for crying out loud, if you're using buckets, stop, go get yourself a Aqueon hose or a Python. It'll save your back. It certainly did mine. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.